there were stories of being brainwashed, right? And I was conscious of those stories of brainwashing. And I was like, I don't want to lose who I am as an individual. I believe we were created to be in community with one another. Veterans in particular find ways to isolate themselves because the world around them doesn't understand who they are. I used to really marvel at some of what I call the real life G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
The guys that were out there shooting at people and getting shot at and things are blowing up around them. I would try to cheapen my experience. And I had to learn to embrace the fact that I still raised my hand and I took an oath.
100%.
But God just stuck his foot out, tripped me up. I fell flat on my face and I had nowhere to run. So when I turned 40 years old, I gave myself a halftime speech. And that speech was something like, first half you came out, it was kind of rough. You did some things right, but you did a lot of things wrong. Let's regroup. Let's go back out there and let's focus on the things you did right and let's build on those things. Don't be that statistic that says that black men are just not going to amount to anything and they're going to die young.
Change that.
Change it. I did it. You can do it too.
One of the biggest lessons that I've learned in this show, and honestly in life, is that healing doesn't live in just one lane. Some people find it through addiction recovery, some through therapy, some through faith, some through hard conversations that they've avoided for years, and some for finally being honest about what they're carrying. I started this show to give people a voice, to share real journeys, real struggles, and real growth. And what it's shown me is how many people are walking through similar battles, even if it looks different on the surface. Through this platform, I've been connected with people across so many lanes: addiction recovery, mental health, veterans and first responders, faith, marriage and relationships, trauma, and everything in between. I want to say this clearly. If you're listening right now and you're struggling, please reach out. You don't need to know exactly what you need. You don't need the right words. You don't have to even know exactly where to start, but through my network, I'll do everything I can to get you connected with the right person in the right lane for where you are. That's what this show is about. Real stories, real connection, and reminding people that there is a way forward. What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit Podcast. What we do on this podcast is bringing guests from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life to share their journey and everything along the way that led them to where they're at today. Real conversations, raw emotion, and the kind of human connection that can't be faked. We're here to make an impact, and that is what we do. So if that is for you, like, subscribe, please, and all those wonderful things. And if that is not for you, I don't know what your problem is, but it's time to jump on board today. Thank you. This is part two. I would love to introduce today's guest, Mr. Thomas Harris. Yeah. Now, before we dive much further into a lot of these concepts, I do want to jump back into your journey a little bit. Just briefly getting back into the military, right? Mm-hmm. You went overseas, you had that experience. I guess what I want to ask too, what parts of that experience of the military live with you today, good or bad, or good or necessary?
My heart for fellow veterans, the camaraderie that I experienced, really just looking at, there's a beautiful concept that the military has designed, which is how to mold and shape people, taking something that's raw and doesn't have it's rudderless.
Yeah.
Like typically someone coming from high school doesn't know what they want to do with life. They don't think college is for them. And then they take something and they look at it up and down. They say, you know what? I don't like this. What do you mean you don't like this? What parts? All of it. I don't like it. So they strip it down, they tear it down, and they build it up to what they want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's creating an identity. So what I take away from that, I don't think it, I think it was a protective mechanism I had built into me, which was, I'm going to do my job. I'm proud to serve, but I was also kind of like one foot in, one foot out, because I didn't want to lose the other part of me, which was who I am.
Yeah.
So people, there were stories of being brainwashed, right?
Yeah.
And I was conscious of those stories of brainwashing, and I was like, I don't want to lose who I am as an individual. So when I got out, parts of me just kind of purged the memory of, like, I couldn't even speak military lingo anymore.
Yeah.
Like all these acronyms and all that stuff. It's like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Man, I'm the same way. Oh man, it's so funny. Like my sense of humor probably is like, with certain people is like darker, it's just, you talk about whatever.
Right.
There's no discomfort there in the military, at least for the most part, right? You just joke about whatever. You make light of any situation, which I think even in civilian world is a positive thing to be able to do. What I'm getting at is like, I was going to ask you about that, like your identity from there going into the civilian worlds, but it sounds like that transition wasn't too difficult on you, because a lot of guys, to your point, that becomes their entire identity. So the transition out becomes extremely difficult on them.
Yeah.
And
I think I took on a role as an advocate post-military, because years down the line, I stayed away from the VA for a long time after I got out, like 14 years, because I listened to the stories. The VA is horrible, blah. Stay away, and
really not that bad.
But I did, because I listened to the naysayers.
Yeah.
And when I finally did, I had a guy who was an advocate for me he said, I'll meet you at the building and you will file your paperwork. And I was like, stupid, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Yeah.
But, I joined this group called Merging Vets and Players, and just former military, former athletes, and it was all about building a community, having that camaraderie you had when you were serving or when you were playing sports. And then when you transition out of that, the struggle is to, how do I obtain that again?
Yeah.
Once again, how do I get that back, that community aspect? Because I believe we were created to be in community with one another. And
oh yeah.
And veterans in particular find ways to isolate themselves because the world around them doesn't understand who they are.
Yeah.
Because there's not shared experience. So I had to take on this role of like being the guy there for the people that were on the outskirts, that felt isolated, that felt like they weren't included in that circle anymore.
Yeah.
So I think I just did that on my own, looking out for the little guy, because I didn't have the same trauma that came with, like the post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. I wasn't a combat vet. Even though I was considered a combat vet because I was serving during the time of war, I never went to war. And I remember I used to really marvel at some of what I call the real life G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
The guys that were out there shooting at people and getting shot at and things are blowing up around them. Best friend dying in their arms. I'm like, man, that's a real hero. I'm just a guy that was like circles and diving and
yeah.
And then when I talked to them about that, I'm like, I would try to cheapen my experience. They were like, are you kidding me, bro? Like, I can never do what you did. You were on submarines. No.
Yeah.
No, thank you. And I had to learn to embrace the fact that I still raised my hand and I took an oath.
100%.
Where most people would cower to the idea of that. So it made me appreciate the fact that I did say yes when the opportunity presented itself.
Yeah, because knowing damn well they could throw a gun in your hand and have you going out there doing G.I. Joe stuff if they needed you to.
If I'm called to do so, yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it when you sign the line.
Right.
And so that is always there. Even if you don't join with the intentions of want to do that, that could be the reality.
It might happen, it might not happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So, obviously I'd say in the submarines, like doing what you're doing, there's some level of fear. There's some level of pressure. So how would you say, what did it teach you about fear and pressure and responsibility all in one?
Doing what I did?
Your time in the military in general. Because we're about to transition through that.
I started to believe that I was more capable than I had given myself credit, because I used to just settle with, like, I'm just not that smart. And people don't gravitate towards me. You know, going back to high school and all my years before that, I was like, I found myself walking around campus by myself a lot. And there's all these groups, people walking in pairs, people walking in big groups and hanging out. And I'm like, I'm sitting there at lunchtime by myself, you know? So I started to believe in myself more when I made it through boot camp, and once I got qualified in the submarines, and then even thinking about being a cook. And I was like, I can't work with these guys. They all got mental health challenges. So fortunately, there were a couple guys in there busting suds with me that were new to the ship, but they were sonar guys. And to be a sonar man, you went to a school that was a year long. They invited me to come check out sonar, and I did that. And it was on the job training. So I became a sonar man, bypassing a year-long school. And I was like, man,
that's cool.
If I'm thrusted in situations that are high pressure, I get to see what I'm made of.
Yeah, your capability.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
Because, like, that's what God does to people. It's like, if you think of some of the characters in the Bible, like Moses, like, who am I? I'm slow of speech. I stumble over my words. And I felt a lot of times like I was a Moses. Like, he's calling me to do something that's way out of my league, but it's not about me. It's about, are you willing and able to answer the call?
Stepping into the fire.
Yeah.
Man, I feel that big time. I reflect on the last few years, and that's something I've been able to really stand proud about, is be like, man, I'm so capable. Like, I'll take on anything.
Yeah.
I'll at least give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
Like, nothing scares me, because I'm like, dude, most of the things I've done, I never thought years ago that I would be capable of.
It's a great feeling, man.
I mean, how many years did you do?
I did 4 years.
So what was life like following and, coming into Tennessee?
I was married while I was in, and had my first kid while I was in. And that played a huge part of my decision to not continue.
Yeah.
And I believe if I stayed single, I would have probably been a career military. But I got out because I started a family. I just didn't want to miss out. I didn't want to be gone when important events were happening, birthdays and holidays, stuff like that. So wasn't the wisest exit transition, because I didn't really set myself up for success. So it started with moving back in with my in-laws, because just didn't have the money, so I was trying to figure it out. I tried out for the sheriff's department, 6-month grueling process where I was passing with flying colors all the way through until the end, when I failed the psychological evaluation. And they don't tell you why you failed, but
why do you think you failed?
I felt like when I walked in the room with that psychologist, I felt like he was already judging me, and he was just going to fail me no matter what I said.
Really?
So I just didn't have a good feeling about it. Maybe I was just nervous or whatever. But I knew I was capable. I served in the military. I was on submarines, for crying out loud. Like, who does that?
Yeah.
But I also believe that it happened for a reason. And then I look back on it and I'm like, I was just doing it for the money.
Yeah. You just needed something to do.
It was good money. And then, I got a security job, and then I ended up working for Trader Joe's for a long stretch. And I got comfortable. this is easy, grocery business, easy. But I was also afraid to step up into management. And when I finally decided I was going to take a chance on management, I was training and everything, and I got injured, and I tried to avoid or just ignore the injury, which was my left shoulder. And for like 2 years, just in pain every day. And I'm lifting heavy cases of beer, wine, and alcohol. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm like hurting, and like, this is stupid. So I think part of the reason why I was hesitant about saying anything is because I had already messed around with workers' comp. And I know they're going to take, you're only going to get 2/3 of your pay, your salary on workers' comp. And I was like, I got a family. I can't afford that. So I just tried to ignore it until the pain was just too unbearable. Like, I couldn't lift my arm higher than this. So I did that. And eventually I ended up having surgery on my shoulder, which put me on the shelf for about 7 months. Came back, previous injury to my elbow flared up, and I went to the doctor and they said 2 weeks, tendonitis/bursitis. 2 weeks turned into a year plus, and they didn't want to do the operation, the procedure that the doctor. I ended up getting an attorney who got me another doctor who recommended this procedure be done on my elbow 3 times, and they didn't want to fix it. So I said, I guess that's it. And pretty devastated. I had to leave this job I had for a long time, but it was also a blessing in disguise, because sometimes hard things come in to get you out of your comfort zone.
You were stuck in comfort.
I was stuck in comfort.
And I could see where Trader Joe's would you get comfortable, because from shopping there, it's a pretty nice experience just going in the store.
Yeah, they always took care of their people.
Yeah.
Pay well, and nice retirement plan. But I wasn't utilizing the gifts and talents that I had because I was comfortable, and God forced me out of my comfort by circumstances, which led to joining this former military and former athlete group. And I got a couple of job opportunities. There was a guy named Ryan Leaf, former NFL player.
Okay.
He came in one day and shared a story about how he got in trouble, stole some painkillers from people out of their houses, and he went to prison for 32 months. He helped me get that job at the sober living company. And then I was fortunate to get an invitation to become a high school football official. And I was through Mike Pereira at Fox Sports.
Okay.
I was the first veteran in this pilot program that he presented to us, small group of veterans, and I was the first one to go out there and work some games. So
nice.
It was a little 15 minutes of fame there, but all these things happened that just gave me more and more confidence. When I started working at the sober living company, I was a tech, so I was a driver. I got promoted to assistant program director, and then 6 months after that, they tried to promote me to program director. So it was, and then I started feeling like, hey, I'm on a sinking ship. They were shutting down houses, and I was like, feeling this sense of it might be time to move somewhere, move out of this before, if you're on a sinking ship, what's the best thing to do?
Jump off.
Get off.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to figure something out. So March of 2021, we were, and this was coming out of 2020, which was like a whole nother story.
It was a doozy.
Yeah. But we started thinking about other places we can consider moving to. And it was Tennessee, it was Idaho, it was Florida, it was Texas. And so we made a plan to take a trip to Tennessee. So there was a group of about 6 of us, my wife and couple, my wife's sisters, my brother-in-law, and my nephew. Little scope out trip to Tennessee because we heard great things about Tennessee. And so we came here, hung out, and we're like, can we see ourselves living here? Yeah. But how? It's 2,000 miles away. You need a place to live. You need a job. It costs a lot of money to move across country. We don't have any of those. No savings in the bank. Didn't have a place, didn't have a job. So I was like, it's either something that's going to not happen or eventually happen, or it was going to happen really quick.
Yeah.
So between March and October, I was here and we had a place. I found a job, and the place that said we don't offer relocation allowances for people in your position, they ended up paying for it. Nice. So there's a lot of moving parts to that, but even taking the job, when I looked at Nashville Rescue Mission, I looked at all these positions and I was like, I don't know what any of these mean. Like the wording, the titled positions, I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't know I know what that is.
Yeah.
You know, the one and only position I applied for was custodial services, janitor. That was the only thing I can encrypt.
Yeah.
Out of all the titles. So
at least that one makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So I applied for custodial services, and the hiring manager, we had a initial phone conversation, and she looked at not only my job experience, which was military, customer service, I was a youth pastor, but also life experience.
Yeah.
And all those, you know, they sufficed the requirements, because I looked at, she presented this position, which is assistant director of guest services, and I looked at that, I was like, I'm not qualified for this. I'm not. I was like, not me. But then it dawned on me later on, it was God qualifies the unqualified. So it doesn't matter who you think you are. It matters who he thinks you are, or who he knows you are. So this person was able to see something in me that I didn't see in myself.
Yeah.
It's that you're a willing and able participant. And if the opportunity is presented to you, you get to decide whether or not you want to take a shot.
So you did it.
So I did it. And here we are.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. And I want to say, and this may go back, because you bring up God's play in a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
What was that faith turning point for you? Because I feel like it's I think you'd mentioned there was you were saved by the grace of God in faith, right?
Yeah. So despite all my struggles with my childhood and just not thinking I mattered, I always intuitively felt that there was a presence, like there was a being that was watching over me, protecting me. But the hard part about it was when I felt like that presence got close to me, I would run away because I was afraid.
Yeah.
And there's always that fear of possibilities. What could change? And the fear of the unknown is crippling sometimes. Even when someone tells you this is a good thing, you're always going to lean on, but what if it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
So I ran a lot, but I also know that I was spared from a lot as well. Like where I grew up, kids were joining gangs. Kids were doing drugs. They became alcoholics. Kids that I went to school with died. I was approached by gang members trying to recruit me, but I weighed pros and cons. Like
You're like, I'm not.
I don't know. I don't. It's not because I'm anything special. Like this is what God did for me. He gave me this kind of an intuition to know, don't go there. Don't do that. I had a very healthy relationship with my conscience at that time. Not saying I was perfect. I made mistakes, but I could have made a whole lot more if I wasn't in tune with my conscience.
Yeah.
Which also kept me from other opportunities that might have helped me.
Yeah, for sure. What changed for you internally after that? After you took on faith, and was there you talked about I was going to ask you about if there was any resistance to that surrender, and obviously there was.
The resistance was there, and then sometimes the Lord will use circumstances, and I liken it to you running, and a giant foot sticks out and trips you up, and you fall flat on your face, where you got nowhere to run. You can't run anymore. You know, those classic horror movies where there's a girl running in the woods and she keeps falling and she can't get up.
Yeah.
No, he's gonna get you. You gotta get up. How can you not get up off the ground?
Yeah, she's like,
like all of a sudden your legs don't work. Come on.
Yeah.
But God just stuck his foot out, tripped me up. I fell flat on my face and I had nowhere to run. And that's when I decided it's time to surrender. My wife, we were dating at the time. We did the whole long distance thing because that was part of one of the decision I made to go to military, and God honoring that by bringing a woman in my life, which I ended up meeting at a dance club. I was 21 years old, and I felt like I got all the partying out of my system by that point, and I was ready to start over. And I was like, I don't want any distractions, and I was going to leave. And my brother said, "Let's go out, bro," because we were clubbers. Me and my brothers and my buddies, we were clubbers. We went to the club, and he wanted me to go one last time before I left, and I was like, "No, man, I'm good." I had zero desire. And he just said, "You're my brother. I love you. I'm going to miss you." Blah, blah, blah. And put that guilt on me. And then I ended up agreeing to go. And I met my wife that night. She asked me to dance. And we hung out. And I was like, this is different.
Yeah.
You know, and she wasn't quite living the way she was supposed to live because she was a believer already. But she looked at me and was like, she didn't think I was the guy because I was too quiet.
Yeah.
And so I left for boot camp after a while, and then came back on leave for 2 weeks. She took me to a church.
You mentioned something about a halftime speech, and I wanted to just ask real quick, what was that and when?
I tell the guys at the mission this a lot, just to kind of encourage them to keep going. Like, you still have a lot of life left. Like, let's go. Like, let's get things started, you know? So when I turned 40 years old, I like to say I gave myself a halftime speech. And that speech was something like, first half you came out, it was kind of rough. You know, you did some things right, but you did a lot of things wrong. So let's regroup. Let's go back out there and let's focus on the things you did right, and let's build on those things.
Yeah.
The mistakes were made. You got to let those go. You know, you can't go back to the past and change things. History, it already happened. Yesterday's gone. Can't go back and change it. You got to focus on what you have today and tomorrow and every day after that. So basically I said, let's go out strong and just build on the positive stuff.
Heck yeah. Some wisdom right there.
You already know what you need to do. You just need to do it.
Everybody should have had their own halftime speech to themselves.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you're going to have people pump you up, but sometimes you got to pump yourself up.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, we've seen we've seen those movies where people are standing in front of their bathroom mirror and they're just trying to motivate themselves. Like, you're a lion. Like, let's go King of the Jungle. Let's do it.
There's something to be said about that, though.
Right. But that's just taking the time to really assess what the reflection is showing you. Like,
yeah,
sometimes it's like you're not as cool as you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like you are cooler than you think you are. It's just like there's a balance, It's like I can be proud and arrogant, and that's a huge turnoff to people. But if other people see something that I'm not focusing on, it's like maybe I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Maybe not become proud and arrogant, but like believe in yourself more.
Right.
Yeah.
And then this journey from starting in 2016 to now has been about, can I build up enough momentum where I actually think that I'm capable?
Yeah.
Like, not selling myself short. Like, I can just put myself out there, and it's like, if this opportunity doesn't work out, then there'll be other opportunities.
Oh yeah.
But just be patient and just stay the course. I tell guys that are homeless, focus on the positives.
Mm-hmm.
If what you've been doing to this point has got you where you are, maybe it's time to do something different.
Yeah.
Like, switch it up. But it starts with your mindset, and that's telling yourself, I'm capable.
100%. I love that, man. You said you also feel, and something I definitely want to hit on today, you said you feel called to talk on mental health and suicide.
Just with my fascination with human behavior,
Yeah,
the brain. I think we underestimate how powerful the brain is.
yeah,
It's been said that we only use about 10% of our brain. And there are times where we use more based off of situational circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Like a woman lifting a car when her child is in danger. That's that part of the brain that you tap into when it's necessary.
Yeah.
And the brain tells you how weak you are, or it can tell you how strong you are. Sometimes when you're under the influence of a narcotic, superhuman strength.
Yeah.
Because it taps into that part of your brain that you don't utilize every day. So your brain tells you when you feel pain, right?
Yeah.
People have different pain tolerances, but when it comes to mental health, mental health challenges will stymie a person in their growth. And that's connected to traumatic events that happen. So if something traumatic happens, like childhood molestation,
Mm-hmm.
it can define who you become in the future if you allow that to define you.
Yep.
But you have to do the work. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to say, I want to be better, so I'm going to do what's necessary to get better, whether it's talking to people or maybe I'm not pro medication, but I've seen enough guys that have paranoid schizophrenia that need to be on medication.
Yeah.
To stabilize them at the very least, because I've known many guys who were paranoid and they were off their meds. And when they got on their meds, they were a whole lot better. And I could have a logical conversation with them. But when they went off, they went off.
Yeah.
And I say, have you been taking your meds? Nah, I don't need that stuff. Like, your behavior tells me something different.
Yeah. You seen it up front.
Yeah. But working in the sober living world where I used to, I found that there were people that were replacing one drug of choice with another drug of choice that was administered by someone with the degree.
Yeah.
And it wasn't cool to see that, because that same guy that was struggling with his addiction, now you gave him something that's going to make him into a drooling zombie.
Like Suboxone or something like that.
Uh,
I talked to somebody, she was like, she had to go to that. And she said that, like, you know, a lot of people become extremely addicted to that treatment.
yeah, and then people who are addicts are very creative, and they do their homework. I've sat around where guys in the sober living house who are not doing the drugs that they used to do, but they're talking about how they've studied medications, prescribed medications, so they know what to seek out, how to manipulate the conversation with a psychiatrist so that he can write a script to get them those prescribed drugs so that they can have a different kind of high. And I was also in charge of managing the medication, which means that I was putting them in different slots for them to take, make sure they would. So, it's like, time to take your meds, blah, blah, blah. I'm not prescribing, but I call in the refills for those medications. Yeah. I was like, I cannot in good conscience sit here and feel okay with having these guys take all these things. And I would ask them periodically, do you even know why you're taking this? Because it just seems like you're just taking all these things and it's not making you better.
Yeah.
And it's a Band-Aid to what the root issue is. You're not here because you're just not well per se. You're here because something happened in the past that you've avoided and your family's avoided. They pretended like it's not a real thing. It's not a problem. And you've self-medicated yourself to get you to where you are today.
And Band-Aids always fall off.
Band-Aids fall off. They get wet. They get dirty. They get hairy.
Yeah.
And they fall off and you can't put them back on.
And eventually it's exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these people would just continue, these families would just continue to throw money at the problem.
Yeah. Like, enabling them.
Keep him. He can't come here, but you guys keep him until you fix my child. Not going to happen. He's not here because he wants to be here. He's here because you told him to be here, or the courts say he needs to be here, or that, what do you call it? The money he's going to inherit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know your thoughts on this, because I've kind of like looked at addiction as like almost like a re-gearing the direction of it, right? I had a shirt a while back. I said, put addicted to greatness. And the whole concept behind it was like coming from like a place of being addicted. Maybe a part of you always holds on to like that addictive personality. And so it's not about not becoming an addict as much as it's about mindset and channeling addiction into the positive directions. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So like channeling your addiction to be like, an amazing father, or starting a business and going all out with that, doing something like positive rather than being addicted to stuff that's going to destroy you, right?
Yeah.
And there's two sides of that, because you can become so addicted to business that it can destroy you as well. Right. And all these other things. Right. But you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Do you think there's something to be said about that? Or do you think that is a positive way to look at it? Or that's just me just making up stuff in my head?
Maybe both.
Okay.
I think it's awareness.
Yeah.
If we are paying attention, we'll see where the holes are in our everyday life. Like something's off. You have a sense that something's off. You don't always know what that something is, but you just know there's something, and I need to kind of shift my focus. Things are not going to be okay at home all the time.
Yeah.
Because in relationships, conflict ensues.
Yeah.
And you have to be open and willing to address what those issues are if you want them to improve, the relationship to improve. But if you just pretend that it's not there, the conflict gets heavier.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that myself. If you're married to a woman, she's more into her emotions than you are as a man.
Yeah.
For the most part. And there's times she wants to talk about hard stuff, and it's like late at night. And I'm like, my head hit the pillow, so this is not the time.
It's funny you say that because I'm actually the one that wants to talk about it. My wife is more like she needs to get some, sleep on it or something. I'm like, no, we got to confront this now.
Right.
And I've had to learn that's her boundary though. And it's taught me how to, like, rather than my emotions leading the conversation, to step back, respect her space, respect her boundary, but like approach it from a place where I'm more leveled out.
Yeah. And I try to be more aware of that, because taking emotional, mental beatings at the mission, and I have to know that it's vital that I still have something left in the tank when I get home to my family.
Yeah.
Because she's going to need emotional support from me.
Yeah.
And I'm not always going to have the answers, but if I can just show her that I'm here and I care, that makes a difference.
Huge difference.
Because, like, women have things going on, and I'm like, there's absolutely nothing I could do to help you.
Yeah.
But I can listen to you tell me about it and say, all right, we'll get through it. It'll work out, just sometimes that's just enough. Like a hug. Just, I'm here. I care.
Sometimes it almost can make things worse trying to, like, find a resolution or help them figure it out. Like, maybe that's not a lot of times people don't want that.
Right.
They just want to express it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they could be self-aware enough to, like, they understand the resolution, but they just need to get it out.
Right.
You got to feel it.
Yeah. And these guys I deal with, there's times where I stand there and I listen to a guy just vent.
Yeah.
And then I try to just be encouraging to him, and he says, and I hate to hear it because I got other people I work with, and then when a guy says, you know what, for the first time in my life, I feel like somebody's actually listening to me.
Yeah.
And that's like, how sad is that?
Yeah,
like,
man.
You're just so used to be ignored. You think of homeless people on the streets, it's like people are stepping over them. They're just like, they're outcasts in society. Like, they don't matter, but that person has a story too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, up until today, we had a guy staying with us with a PhD, homeless guy with a PhD. So it's like, you don't just wake up and you're homeless. There's a series of events that happen that lead you where you are today, but we don't take the time to learn what that is. We just make assumption that, oh, you're just a crackhead. You've always been a crackhead. No, there was a series of events that happened that led to where he is today.
Rather than judging someone in that position, take a step back and just be grateful circumstances may not have played out in your life that led them there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You got to start from the beginning.
And I'm going to be truthful about it. Like, I'm not giving you money because I've seen you.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to do with that money. And I don't want to be one that plays a role in you getting what you think you need.
Yeah.
I'm not going to help you with that, but I'm going to help you in other ways if you're hungry.
I will say, though, I got a story. I had a guy reach out to me from high school, just out of the blue, text me.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew he was in a place of, an addiction. And this is like, I went to school in North Carolina, a really small town. And I don't know. He was like, Joe, man, I'm in Asheville. Can you, like, Venmo? I just need like $100. I need to get back home. I'm going to get sober. And I was like, I sat on it for a minute, man. I really was trying to feel it. And I was like, on one token, like, he could easily just take that and get some dope or whatever. Like, and a lot of times that's likely, unfortunately. But my intention isn't about him getting dope. My intention is for him to get help, and so I'm a sucker. I sent him $100. Several months later, he's like, dude, thank you. Like, he's like, I haven't touched anything since. We're about 2 years since then. He's sober. He's got a girlfriend. Life is good for him. He's not doing shit. And I was like, God, that's such a cool thing. And like, You've seen it up front a lot more than I have. Me, I don't have the perspective that you do. You've seen it like in a totally different light. You know, you talked about the bathrooms and some of those situations. I mean, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
You know, me, maybe I'm just like more naive to it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm just very optimistic and hopeful, like, yeah, this guy's going to go get clean. And it worked out in that situation, but I also have given plenty of homeless people money and probably didn't go the direction I intended for it to.
Yeah, someone was just telling me they offered a guy some food. He was out panhandling, and the guy just took the food and he just slammed it on the ground. Like, how dare you? I asked you for money. You give me food? You know exactly what he's going to do with that money.
See, and that's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I signed up for, you know, and it's not for the faint of heart, but it's something that's much needed. And I'm just privileged that God called me to do such a thing.
Yeah.
To make an impact. And the consistency factor is the difference maker, because they know what to expect of me. They know I'm going to be the same guy. I'm not flying off the handle. They know I'm not playing games. We got young guys coming in, and I'm like, why are you here? You're 20 years old. You got kicked out of your house because you didn't like rules. But guess what? There's rules here too. I need you to be about your business. If I see you hanging out with certain people, I'm going to assume you're involved in the same things they're involved in.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's tough love, but like, I'm here to challenge people. I'm here to encourage them to rise above. Don't be that statistic that says that Black men are just not going to amount to anything.
Yeah.
And they're going to die young.
Change that.
Change it. I did it. You can do it too.
Yep.
Decide a different path. Control what you can control. What you can't control, forget about it. Don't worry about it. You worry about what you can't control.
Yeah.
And you being the victim that says that the world is against me, the man is holding me back. Like, no, this is on you.
Yeah.
It's on you, bro. Like, make a decision. Change your mindset. Your mindset tells you, I am a victim. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah, your past and your experiences don't have to be what hold you back. They're always going to be there, but you can. It's as simple, and it's crazy because the simplest things oftentimes become the most difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Just one freaking step can change everything.
Yeah, and you've had, I'm sure most of your guests have somewhere along the line talked about mental health, and mental health is a thing that we need to continue to have conversations about, because it's our reality.
Yeah.
And I was one to really point out that 2020 was not good for us.
Yeah.
You know, we were created to be social beings, and we were forced into isolation. Think about how devastating that is for generations, you know, kids that had to not be able to see their friends and you know, family members. And it's like, you're taking a kid that's supposed to be happy and playing with friends and everything, and you tell them, no, you can't see so-and-so. And it's detrimental. It's like, we won't see the full effect of it until years later.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah. But there was a mind job that was done on us.
Yeah.
A complete mind job. And people, and I said it, like, where I work, you can see, like, people falling apart. People lost homes, they lost relationships, they lost businesses, and a lot of people haven't bounced back from that.
Yeah. And you see, like, you know, leads to suicides and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's becoming more and more prevalent this day and age as well.
We were looking over the death reports of homeless men from our campus, and I was actually looking at the males and the females at the women's shelter, and there was a number of suicides that popped up. Suicide always hits home to me. I lost my father 14 years ago. And it's still surreal after 14 years. Like, I cannot believe that happened. Mm. And I mean, I still can't understand why, but I also have an idea of why. I would say something like my dad was a professional hole digger. Yeah. You give some people a shovel, they just keep digging until the hole is too deep that they can't find a way out of it. And circumstances, decisions made in the past catch up to people. Mm. And they can't find a way out. They can't find a solution. And, my dad was a very charming guy. Everybody loved my dad. Very charming. Carried himself well. Dependable. Never missed work. Clean, very clean. Kind of a germaphobe. Loved washing his hands and using sanitizer, like cared about cleanliness. But after he passed, my brothers and I, we went to his apartment and saw this wasn't my dad. Mm. My dad didn't live here anymore. My dad turned into somebody else. His apartment was dirty. And I knew my dad was already gone before he ended it all. Damn. So yeah, that was rough. We actually found out on my little brother's 19th birthday. So he lives with every birthday, December 5th, that this was the day I found out that my dad took his own life. So my other brothers, we had to try to convince them that it didn't happen on that day. It probably happened the night before. Yeah. Because my dad didn't show up to work that night. But the whole thing was staged. He left notes. He left a couple of gifts for granddaughters. He left his debit card and told us that there would be money on that card by Christmas Day. So even to this day, as much as I talk about it all the time. Yeah. We were encouraged to deal with the trauma of that initially, immediately. Our pastor at the time encouraged us to just take it head on, and we hosted a grief share group at our home, invited people to come in, talk about the loss of loved ones. So I think that was very helpful for us, rather than brushing it under the rug and pretending that it didn't happen.
You learn how to carry their spirit forward with you.
Yeah, and initially I was angry.
If you don't mind me asking,
no.
If you could say something to your father today, what would you say?
Man, that's a crazy one, because I was just talking to my brother about just silly stuff. Like my dad was a movie guy and my dad was a sports guy, and I was just thinking about all the movies and the sporting events that he's missed in 14 years. But more importantly than that, my dad and I had a falling out the last year of his life. I saw him one time, and that was at my brother's high school graduation. Didn't really talk. I gave him a hug and I told him I loved him. Mm. And his one and only grandson was born this was June when I saw him. My son was born in February, and he never got to meet my son. He never got to meet his first and only grandson. I haven't really thought too much about what I would say to him, but my thoughts are just, man, you missed out on so much when you didn't have to.
Yeah.
So other than that, I don't really know what I would say, but I did forgive him for what he did, but end of the day, he's the one that's missing out.
Yeah.
And I've grown so much since he left. Like, thinking about what I do now and the things that I'm passionate about. I just believe that he would be even more proud of me today.
Without a doubt, man. I believe that too. Hey, thank you for sharing that, man.
Part of the process.
It is. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I know he'd be proud of you. And for whatever it's worth, from what you share with me about your journey, man, I'm proud of shit of you. Truly. Like,
appreciate it.
It's been an honor getting to know you today and hear your journey and hear the way you, I mean, even off camera, man, there's so much value to the conversation today. And I do got to point out that I'm just extremely grateful for your time, because you didn't have to spend several hours with me here this afternoon, but you did. And I don't think you realize how much that means to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Now, to finish up, you've got a lot of responsibility on your plate. And just curious about this. You're spread thin. You're a family man. You've got your work keeps you busy. And I mean, it takes a toll on you physically, mentally, probably spiritually, in a lot of different ways, right?
Right.
So how do you refill your tank? How do you refill? What do you do that keeps you rolling?
What would I like? I would like more sleep.
You sound like me.
I mean, it's like you can ask my wife. She knows I'm a napper. I love naps. I haven't had as many naps that I like to have lately. But at work we have this we have our top 5, I think, strengths, the Clifton Strengths business, what are your top strengths, and I think some of those are what keep me up at night. Or if I just wake up in the middle of the night, my brain just starts firing on all cylinders and I can't wind it down.
Yeah.
And the top one is responsibility. And I have a department that I oversee at work, but ultimately I feel responsible for the entire facility. Just how I'm wired. If I'm with people and something goes down, I feel responsible for everyone.
Bro. Speaking of my soul, we're like the same person. We're the same guy.
But how do I fill my tank? Or how should I fill my tank? I mean, a lot of times I find myself operating on an empty tank, and that's because just give, but I'm not as good at self-care. And that's always something that's promoted at the mission is self-care. And I'm like, I don't have time for self-care because I have too many responsibilities.
Man.
And it's usually putting myself second quite often. But I'm not God.
Yeah.
I can't be everything for everybody because I tried that and I failed miserably. But I'm just trying to be more aware. And when I don't like to complain, but when I do complain, I think it's usually to my wife. But I think I'm being more aware and honest.
Yeah.
Because I used to, the classic, oh, I'm good, everything's great. Like, no, sometimes I'm like, it's not a good day. I'm not in the mood. Like yesterday, I got to work and I said, I'm not in the mood today. Like somebody's going to say the wrong thing. But that's just part of a product of not really taking the time. But the work I do is very hard. So I can go on vacation for 2 weeks and then after a week coming back, I'm like feeling the burn again. Because I'm just responsible. I feel responsible for too many people.
I've not had to deal with your level of responsibility. Totally different ballpark. But in my way, I've always felt that I got to hold it all up. Everything I'm involved with, I just got to be, that responsibility thing is heavy, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of these lessons, one of these truths I face is like, that, but it's like, I've got to start challenging myself how to be okay with not carrying weight that I'm not supposed to carry.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, you talk about the self-care. Like I got gym equipment in my garage, so that's where I train. And took what I could from my old space, sold the rest, but I have everything I need. So that's a big thing for me. But so when someone's like, well, how do you take care of yourself? Oh, work out. They're like, no, like outside of working out, like that's kind of something you have to do. Like it's part of your brand and your everything you're doing. And I'm like, well, I like to go to like just sit in nature for a few hours, like out of this waterfall, like probably 30 minutes from me. But I haven't done that in a while. I always make excuses. I'm like, well, I got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get this work done.
Mm-hmm.
I got these tasks. I got to follow up.
Right.
And then I find myself running on fumes all the time. Full throttle on fumes.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is maybe you and I, we'll talk. Maybe we can come up with some kind of challenge to hold each other accountable to figure out some way to implement that care. Because eventually, we're on the side of the road and there's no one coming by with any gas tanks. And, we need that.
I mean, some of the things I have done, obviously, for me going to church and having a family day, family time is important to me. If I got enough, getting beat down at work and I know that I can't just come home and just lock myself in a room.
Yeah.
I still got to be the husband. I still got to be the father.
Dad mode. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do that for the most part, and my wife tells me about the day, check in with my son, and then I might, share my tears with my wife about how the day went and my frustrations. Having guys I can talk to, even in a text thread, with some guys. There's like the community group and, I can have my outlet in writing, but lately I haven't had the energy or time to dive into that because you just got to have the motivation. And I don't always have that, but it's always on the back burner because I am a storyteller at heart.
Yeah.
I love to tell stories and writing is something I think I'm pretty good at, and I'm going to continue to do it.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll figure it. We'll be in touch.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be in touch, dude. You can always vent to me as well. You got my number. So,
sure.
And I do want to say, shout out to your wife. It's powerful to have a woman that'll give you the space to feel that shit. A lot of men don't have that, or it's frowned upon, in homes, but it's like, he's only going to become worse for you if you don't give him that space. And my wife, the same way, like if I'm going through it, no matter what I got going on, she like just lets me feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ashamed of it. And it's been so positive for me. It's changed my life.
Yeah. I mean, she's I think her greatest strength is hospitality and the ability to nurture.
Yeah.
Like she takes care of people.
Yeah.
Like if I need to take a nap, I'm tapped out. She'll let me take my nap and no harm, no foul. And sometimes I'll set an alarm and I'm only going to sleep this long. And then I turn the alarm off and I sleep longer. She's not mad at me, but she does value my time, and she does respect me and honor me for all the hard work I put in.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I have one final question for you, and I'll let you get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas, what is your relentless pursuit?
My relentless pursuit is to glorify God in everything that I think, say, and do.
Perfect. Love it.
As hard as it is, that's my pursuit.
Thank you. I mean, straightforward, to the point, and beautiful. So thanks for that, my man.
Yeah.
It's been an absolutely wonderful time sharing the space with you today. Thank you for taking the time to come in and sharing your journey, the ups and downs, the in-betweens, and just all these powerful moments and insights. And, I'm going to be reflecting on it. And I know everybody watching or listening is going to gain a lot from your story. So thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Joe. I always say that you never know when you're going to meet your next best friend. So maybe that's today.
Dude, I mean, there's a lot of similarities here, man.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to be staying in touch. And
absolutely.
Yeah, man, it's been cool. So you can move this. Shake your hand.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Y'all take care.
Peace.
This isn't just a podcast. This is my life's work. In a world full of noise, debate, filters, and artificial content, this platform is real. It's raw. It's human. Every episode, we dive deep into stories that matter. Pain, purpose, transformation. We're here to give people a voice, speak truth, and connect through something deeper than algorithms. We've already reached over 20 million views across all platforms, with an audience that is loyal, engaged, and passionate about this show because it speaks to the soul. If your business or brand believes in authenticity, if you value marketing through something that reflects your values and aligns with real impact, then this is your opportunity. Sponsorship isn't just support, it's fuel. It's how I keep this mission alive. It's how I continue to shine light on powerful, untold stories that need to be heard. If you want to reach people, not just through metrics, but through their hearts, their minds, and purpose, let's partner. Let's build something that matters.